In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college basketball games happening on April 2nd, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Butler versus Boise State. The college basketball crown quarterfinals bring an exciting matchup as the Butler Bulldogs take on the Boise State Broncos on Wednesday night in Las Vegas. Both teams enter this game fresh off first-round victories, setting the stage for an intense battle. Butler faced a tough challenge in their opening round game, but managed to edge out Utah in a nail-biter, coming away with an 86-84 win. They entered that matchup as 3.5-point underdogs, but overcame the odds to secure the victory. Boise State, on the other hand, had a much easier time in their first round contest, absolutely dominating George Washington by a massive 89-59 margin. The Broncos, who were 8.5-point favorites, covered the spread with ease in that one. As for the history between these 2 teams, they have only met once before, with Butler emerging victorious in a 70-56 win back on November 26, 2023, during the ESPN Events Invitational in Orlando. However, a lot has changed since that meeting, and this quarterfinal showdown promises to be a different kind of test for both teams. Butler's season has been far from smooth, as they struggled throughout the year and finished 5 games below the .500 mark. The Bulldogs have had issues on both offense and defense, and their lack of depth has been a major problem. They leaned heavily on their 3 senior players to carry the load, and now, heading into this tournament, they are without their top scorer, Jamal Telfort, who averaged 16 points per game. This absence leaves them with even fewer offensive weapons to rely on, which could spell trouble against a strong Boise State squad. While Butler's offense has had its fair share of struggles, their defense has been even more concerning. Throughout the season, they have given up points at an alarming rate, and their most recent performance against Utah was no exception. The Utes, who rank 127th in the country in offensive efficiency, still managed to put up 84 points against them. That does not bode well for Butler, especially considering that Boise State has a much stronger offense, ranking 51st in offensive efficiency. The Broncos have a well-rounded attack, and their best player, Tyson DeGeneres, will be the most talented player on the floor in this game. Boise State can put up points in a hurry, but what truly makes them dangerous is their ability to lock down opponents on the defensive end. The Broncos just put together a defensive clinic in their first round game, holding George Washington to only 59 points. Their defensive metrics are among the best in the nation, as they rank 39th in defensive efficiency. That kind of defensive prowess could pose a serious problem for Butler, a team that already struggles to score consistently. The Bulldogs managed to slip past Utah, but their defensive lapses were obvious, and they now have to contend with a Boise State team that excels on both ends of the floor. Boise State has multiple players who average double-digit scoring and plenty of experienced veterans who know how to handle tough, high-pressure situations. With Boise State being the better team in nearly every aspect of the game, it's tough to see Butler pulling off an upset here. The Bulldogs have struggled all year long, and given their defensive issues, it's hard to trust them to stop Boise State from imposing their will. Boise State should have no trouble advancing to the semifinals in this one. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boise State Broncos to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Offensively, both teams played well in their respective first-round matchups, and both games comfortably hit the over. However, Butler has not been a fast-paced team this season, and despite their efficient shooting, they still average fewer than 75 points per game. With their leading scorer unavailable for this game, their offensive struggles could become even more pronounced. Meanwhile, Boise State has been one of the best defensive teams in the country, which will make it even tougher for Butler to generate consistent offense. Butler is a much better defensive team than George Washington, and Boise State's huge scoring output in their previous game was largely fueled by turnovers. The Broncos prefer a methodical approach to the game, ranking 309th in the nation in possessions per game. Butler, for its part, has shown a willingness to adjust defensively by switching up schemes to slow down opponents, which could contribute to a lower scoring contest. Looking at the numbers, Butler ranks 150th in defensive efficiency, which is respectable, but they have some glaring weaknesses. They sit at 113th in effective field goal percentage defense and 134th in allowed offensive rebounding percentage. In terms of pace, they are 155th in adjusted tempo with an average of 67.8 possessions per game. However, their biggest defensive flaw is their inability to force turnovers, ranking just 362nd in forced turnover percentage at 11.5%. Boise State, meanwhile, is one of the more disciplined teams in the country. They rank 276th in tempo with an average of 65.8 possessions per game, which indicates their preference for a slower pace. Their defensive efficiency is strong at 56th in the nation, and they rank 114th in effective field goal percentage defense. Perhaps most impressively, they are one of the best rebounding teams in the country, ranking second overall by allowing offensive rebounds on only 22.3% of opponents' missed shots. Given Boise State's ability to control the pace and stifle opposing offenses, this game has the makings of a low-scoring affair. Butler will have a tough time finding ways to score, and the Broncos are unlikely to push the tempo in a way that would generate a high total. Expect this one to be a defensive battle that stays under the projected total. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Nebraska versus Georgetown. It's a high-stakes battle in the quarterfinals of the college basketball crown as the Nebraska Cornhuskers take on the Georgetown Hoyas this Wednesday night in Las Vegas. Both teams are coming off hard-fought victories in the first round and will be looking to keep their momentum going as they vie for a spot in the semifinals. This game marks a historic first, as Nebraska and Georgetown have never faced off as Division I opponents before. The bright lights of Vegas set the stage for what promises to be an intense showdown between these two programs. Nebraska had an impressive showing in their first-round matchup, securing an 86-78 victory over Arizona State. They managed to cover the spread as 6.5-point favorites, demonstrating their ability to perform under pressure. Georgetown, on the other hand, pulled off a thrilling 85-82 win against Washington State in their opening round contest. As a one-point underdog, they defied the odds and showed resilience in a tightly contested battle. Both teams are coming off strong offensive performances, but the question remains, which squad will have the edge in this quarterfinal matchup? The Cornhuskers were not far from being one of the top 6 teams in the Big Ten, and they have shown time and time again that they can go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the country. A significant reason for their success lies in their dynamic duo of Williams and Gary. Their combination of size, skill, and versatility makes them a difficult matchup for any opponent. Meanwhile, Georgetown has had to lean heavily on sophomore guard Malik Mack to carry the scoring load. However, the Hoyas are dealing with major roster issues, as several key players will be absent from this game. Micah Peavy, Thomas Sorber, Jaden Epps, and Drew Fielder, 4 of their top 5 scorers, are all unavailable, forcing Georgetown to rely on inexperienced players. The impact of these absences has already been evident, as the Hoyas struggled defensively against Washington State, surrendering 82 points despite their opponent making just 5 three-pointers. One of the big unknowns heading into this game is whether any of the questionable Georgetown players will suit up. We already know that Sorber is ruled out and that Fielder has entered the transfer portal, but the status of Peavy and Epps remains uncertain. The Hoyas ran a very tight rotation in their first-round game, with just 8 players seeing action. Mack and Burks played the entire 40 minutes, while Williams Jr. was on the floor for 39. Beyond those 3, the bench barely contributed. Montgomery played 10 minutes, Van Raaphorst logged 5, and Asadula saw just 2. If Georgetown is forced to rely on such a short rotation again, fatigue could set in, just as it did for Arizona State against Nebraska in the late stages of their matchup. Nebraska, on the other hand, has the advantage of having their full lineup available, and their star duo of Williams and Gary should be the difference makers. With Georgetown struggling defensively and lacking depth, it sets up well for Nebraska to take control of this game and assert their dominance. As our first pick for this matchup, the Nebraska Cornhuskers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. While Nebraska clearly has the edge on offense, Georgetown still has a solid defensive foundation. The Hoyas rank among the top 90 defenses in the nation, possession, giving them at least one area of strength to lean on. However, their recent defensive struggles raise concerns. They allowed Washington State to put up 82 points despite the Cougars hitting just 5 three-pointers, meaning the majority of the damage was done inside the paint. That could be a big problem against Nebraska, as both of the Cornhuskers' top scorers stand taller than 6'7" and love to attack the basket. Nebraska thrives on playing at an up-tempo pace and has been an efficient scoring team throughout the season. They looked sharp offensively in their first-round win, but they also allowed Arizona State to score 78 points, despite the Sun Devils making only 6 three-pointers. If Malik Mack can once again step up and carry the Hoyas' offense, this game could turn into another high-scoring affair. Both teams have shown they can put up points, as evidenced by their first-round performances. Nebraska dropped 86 points, while Georgetown put up 85, and neither team was particularly strong on defense. The Cornhuskers allowed 78 points, while the Hoyas gave up 82, leading to total scores of 164 and 167 points, respectively. Given the pace at which both squads like to play and their defensive vulnerabilities, this game has the makings of another high-scoring contest. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.